You have no idea how excited I am to finally say these words. I am now speaking to the man who will fight for the UFC welterweight title at UFC 304, July 27th in Manchester, England. It is always my great pleasure to speak to Belal Muhammad. Belal, is it still surreal to finally hear those words, to know that the title fight is official? You've been waiting for this for so long.
Yeah, I mean, it took a couple of days to like set in, right? Because in the back of your head, you're like, "Oh, is it gonna happen? Is it gonna happen?" And I mean, I have a manager that Ali, who told me the whole time, dude, Dana's a man of his word, Hutch is a man of the word. You got to trust him. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. And yeah, man, I'm glad they kept the word. I'm glad they did it. And finally, it's on paper. Like nothing's ever finalized until it's on paper. It's finally on paper, and now I can finally say we have a date. So I'm excited, bro.
When did you get the official word? Because I talked to Curtis Blades about like a couple days after the announcement. He had said he heard like basically a week before. I talked to him on a Friday. He had heard it the previous Friday. So it was about like 3 days later when Dana made the announcement. When did you get official word that you were getting Leon, or did you get official word until the announcement was made?
No, yeah, Ali told me like I was honestly like 2 weeks before that he said done deal. But it's still like, all right, but I'm waiting for that announcement, right? Like, because I want one of those announcements because I've been looking for those announcements forever, waiting anytime Dana pops up, like, oh, is he gonna say it? He's gonna say it. Man, he's gonna surprise us. Like, you're always hoping for it. But yeah, he told us 2 weeks before. And then when he finally like announced it, like I was training and I was like dead training. And then my coach Lou hopped on and he like recorded me. And then yeah, I didn't even realize he said main event. And the main event part's a huge part too. It's like we're the main event. We're headlining the card. It's it's like the perfect situation for me, and it's like the perfect scenario for everything. Right, going into enemy territory, being the headliner on the card, and I was actually at the original Curtis Blades and Aspinall fight. I was down there. We were doing stuff for Abu Dhabi, so I flew down there for like 2 days to watch that fight. So it's crazy how like it goes around full circle. Now they're like the co-main event to my fight, and they're getting their rematch, and I'm getting my rematch, and it's funny how stuff works.
I love that video, and just to be clear, like that was genuine. That was actually your reaction when he turned the camera on and said, "Hey, Dana just made the announcement." I saw it, and I love that video because even you in that moment are like, "What? Really?"
Yeah, no, like Lou's always like recording stuff and watching like recording our training and things like that. So I'm sitting there like we're dead at the end of this practice. And he's coming to me with another camera. And I was like, bro, what? There's nothing else happening, bro. I'm not trying to do anything else. And then he just said, hey, did you hear about it? And I was like, it didn't like click in until afterwards. So it was yeah, it was funny. I'm glad he got that moment because it's gonna be cool.
We've talked about Leon so many times, going back to the first fight with the eye poke. We talked, I want to say, like 3 days after that fight. You did the interview with me with eyeglasses. You showed me like how bad your eye was at that point. And even back then, you're like, I want to run it back. We didn't get to finish this. And it just never happened. And you had to continue to win and continue to do things. And he eventually got his title shot, became champion. Can I ask you the honest truth? Like through this whole ordeal, after Gilbert Burns and knowing you had to wait through the Colby Covington fight, was there ever a moment of doubt? Like, did you ever allow doubt to creep in your head to say, man, maybe this just isn't going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, there's always that that doubt that creeps in because it's like you waited so long and it's always been another hurdle to get over, right? There's always been something else, something else, something else. And for multiple times I felt like I've been ready for it, especially after beating Luke that fight. Then I was waiting in the front row when Leon and Usman fight. I'm like, Usman wins. There's nobody else to fight Usman but me. Then all of a sudden that head kick happens. They have to do a stupid rematch. Then they give me Sean Brady, and you're like, bro, that doesn't make any sense. Then you got to do that. Then all of a sudden it's like you're still waiting again. Colby pops out of nowhere, and you're like, bro, it's not gonna happen. And then all of a sudden you get offered the Gilbert Burns fight, 3 weeks notice, and it's like this is the fight that's gonna make me undeniable. This is the fight that Hunter called me on the phone and he said, "You win this, you're next. You're gonna get it. Your next fight will be for the belt." So you, there's no way I could have said no. Then we go out there, we beat him, and like I spoke with Habib after that fight as well, and he was like, "Just know that you're gonna have to wait. It's always the longest wait before you get your first title fight. So just know it's gonna happen." So I just trusted him and trusted my team around me, trusted my coaches, and they're, when you got guys in your room, because we're a small gym. So when I got guys like Ignacio Balmundez or Charlie Radke who have fights going up, it's like it keeps me hungry to stay in the gym with them and watch their guys and to see them achieving wins and achieving their goals, it keeps me motivated as well. Cause like I want my guys to win. So during that whole time, it's just being in there with those guys, training with those guys, watching tape on their guys. It just kept me hungry the whole time because like I want to see them win. When one of them win, we all win. So that was like the biggest help for me as well, is just having those moments, being with my teammates, being with my brothers, and helping them achieve their goals. Because right now they're in the gym with me. They're growing with me right now. Nacho's a better version of Leon than Leon is, and I'm gonna need him a lot for this camp. So now he knows it's my turn, and now we're just ready for this, man.
I love it. Now, this is all good vibes now because the title fight's official. We're going to get to Leon and the actual fight in a second. But can I ask you what your perspective was around the whole UFC 300 thing? Because I'll tell you the truth, Belal, and you can ask anyone on our staff. I had an article written that said Leon Edwards was Belal Muhammad 2 headlines, or I think I said headlines or set for UFC. I was so confident that it was going to happen. I had an article written just to wait for the announcement, and then it didn't happen. Then we hear all these rumors. It was going to be Islam. It was going to be Shavkat. It was going to be all these different things. How much did you hear about all this? Because I was convinced it was 300. Like I said, I had an article written. The article we published that says you're fighting Leon at 304 is the same article I wrote for 300. We just kind of updated it because I've had that article written for months.
I mean, honestly, I think, like I said it before, I think it was Dana trying to hype up this bum. This guy does not do any media. This guy doesn't talk. You think they're going to have a champion who threw 50 strikes in a 5-round fight against a guy that, disrespected him, disrespected his family. Then he tried to like be this tough guy, and you went out there and you freaking threw out a dud. Like, I think Dana, the UFC knows how to market, right? So they're going to try to market him now as, oh, he said yes to the 3 killers, and he said yes to everybody, and Leon, nobody wants to fight Leon, and everybody's afraid of Leon. But honestly, none of it really matters anymore now, right? Because I'm next. I have the date, I have it signed. So all those other narratives, it's fake to me now. So Leon can go out there and say, oh, this and that, and the UFC doesn't want him, blah blah blah. But there's nothing else now. Now I know I'm going to see you July 27th. I'm going to walk through you. And after that, then you can make up all your stupid narratives. Then after that, you can come up with all your stupid excuses. But this whole lead up, his coaches were calling for Gilbert Burns. His coaches were calling for everybody else. His brother was asking for all these random things. But in the end, I think the UFC, Dana and all of them, they gave me their word. They told me it was going to be next. And I'm next. So all those other stories, they don't really matter to me anymore because I'm the one with the contract. I'm the one headlining the card, and I'm the one standing in front of Leon for that belt.
I don't like to ever paint the narrative that anyone is scared in this sport, because at the end of the day, you're fighters, right? Like, you all step in there and put your lives on the line when you step in there. I don't ever like the narrative of someone is quote unquote scared of somebody else, but you are, in my opinion, Belal, a very high risk reward, high risk situation, because he's been in there with you, and for the longest time, the narrative was, well, I beat him up in that first round, so the eye poke, it didn't matter. We all know 1-round fight is not. I mean, if that's the case, go look at 4 rounds in the first fight, or the second fight, Kamaru Usman. We couldn't judge that because he ended up getting the knockout. How are you going to say 1 round matters? But is there any part of you that felt like Leon was, I hate to use, I'm not saying scared, like avoiding you because he knows you're a tough matchup?
No, we can use the word he's scared. Yeah, no, we could say scared. He was his team. When you have his team and his brothers, is like they're using every excuse in the book. Oh, he didn't deserve it. He didn't earn it. He didn't do this. But they're all like, they're not smart. Like, even with their words they used, the examples they had, the other scenarios they wanted, like, they looked very stupid with the way they were doing it. And it just tells me, and it shows me that they understand how much of a bad matchup I am for him. We did have that 1 round. What was it? It was like, this official stats were like 19 strikes or like 13 strikes or something like that. And you had 1 head kick that we walked through. We went in back. We were good. So they understand that. They understand what I did in the clinch. He felt the strength in there. And then even after that fight, you go through the matchups I had. I've beaten a better striker than him when I beat Wonder Boy. I beat in better grapplers than him with Damian Maia, Gilbert Burns. I beat in better finishers than him and Luke K. Like, all the other guys, all the styles that I fought in, they're all more complete fighters than him. And the guys now that Uh, he's fought. Okay, he's beaten Usman. He was going to kill the second fight, then he finished him. But I think that one win against Usman, it doesn't equal my wins against Wonder Boy, Brady, Damian Maya. Like all those wins will match that Usman win, right? Then he goes out there and he fights Colby, who looks like trash, and Colby just sucks. So like I don't even take anything from that fight or from that win. And I think Gilbert Burns is a tougher matchup than Colby. So when we're looking at who we both fought in the last 5-6 years, I've fought the tougher guys. I've had in the tougher camps, and I've grown more than him. And I think he knows that. His team knows that. And like you said, it's not like I have 10 million followers where it's going to be like, oh, dang, at least he lost to him. People are expecting me to lose. People look at that first fight and they say, oh, Belal sucks. They tell me that every fight I suck. They tell me every fight that I'm going to lose. They tell me every fight that my opponent's going to walk through me. But I keep winning. I keep walking through these guys. I keep dominating. There hasn't been a fight where you're like, oh, man, this was a close decision or that was a bad decision. No, I'm dominating these guys. I'm beating these guys, and I'm taking these guys to where they're weakest at. And I think he knows that. His team knows that. And July 27th, the world's going to know that.
Do you think, because the first fight with Leon was the best possible circumstance for him because he was going through a full training camp. You took the fight on extremely short notice. Again, unfortunate ending with the eye poke, but you wanted to run it back right away. Let's run it back right away, and he didn't want to do it. Do you feel like he kind of blew it by not running it back with you back then? Because I feel like the improvements we've seen out of you in these last couple of years, you've become not only a better fighter, but a more dangerous fighter. We've seen that with your striking. We've seen that in your fights with Sean Brady. We saw the Luque fight. Like, do you feel like Leon kind of blew it? He could have maybe had a different version of Belal a few years ago after the eye poke fight versus the guy he's about to fight for his title in a couple months.
Oh, this was like literally the biggest mistake of his life. And even dragging this fight out as long as possible because I'm getting better every single day. I'm not a guy that stays out of the gym. We're growing. And now you got a guy that's been watching you for a full year. Even when I trained for the backup role, I'll show you text messages where I send my boys, like, could we do film study? I'm like, I'm only breaking down film on Leon. I don't really care about Colby. Colby's an easy fight. So the whole time we broke down film on Leon, and we took that as a full camp. So now I'm having back-to-back camps all on you. And I'm growing my own skills to your weaknesses. So the worst thing you could have did is give me more time. The worst thing you could have did is give me extra time. You should have took me back then. Now you should have took me 5 months ago. You should have took me 3 months ago. Every single day that you're letting this drag out, I've gotten better and better and better. And July 27th, I'm going to be the best form that I've ever been. And that's going to be your worst nightmare.
We saw it in the Colby fight. We all thought, Colby was going to try to wrestle him and try to go for takedowns, and Colby just didn't fight. I mean, he didn't really do anything in there, and I know Colby had the excuse the broken foot or whatever, but he just didn't perform. And that's one of those fights where you're like, well, this is where Leon should style on him. Leon should go out there and just decimate this guy because he's not fighting. Like, Colby refused to engage. When you watch it and you watch, because I'm not going to sit here and try to diminish Leon's fights. Like, he's not a bad fighter. Obviously, you don't get to this level even in the top 10 without being good in some way, shape, or form. But when you look at his fights with Usman, you look at the second fight where he was losing, pretty definitively. He gets the knockout, incredible, amazing moment. He comes back, wins the rematch. Good for him. It was a close fight, 3-2. I think is how everyone had that one scored. And then obviously the Colby fight was, again, he won. He clearly won, but I think a lot of that was Colby just didn't do anything in that fight. Do you feel like matchup and style wise that you present a lot of problems for Leon that he just hasn't seen in his last few fights?
Yeah, 100%. I think when you look at stylistically of the reasons why they thought Colby would be a bad matchup for him. It was cardio, it was pressure, it was taking down, keeping volume in his face. And I do all those better than Colby. I do all those better than Usman. Usman in that third fight, he wasn't the same Usman. People can say whatever they want. I think he came back too soon after that head kick. But in that second fight, it was volume, pressure, and it was breaking Leon. And Leon's easily broken. And I think that's why when you see in between rounds, his coaches, his team, they're all like, they're not giving him advice, right? They're not telling him, oh, yeah, stay on the outside jab. No, they're like, you're looking beautiful, Leon. You're a beast, Leon. Don't let him bully your son. They're all like, they have to give him those words, those little speeches, motivational speeches, because he's got weak mentality. He's not strong enough to go in there and figure it out on his own. Once he starts getting on his back foot, he starts breaking. Once he starts getting taken down, he starts breaking. Once he starts getting hit, he hates it. So the last 2 fights that he's had, it's been more so Let me stay on the outside. Let me keep the pace at what I like it at, right? And Colby let him keep the pace at what he liked it at. Usman in that third fight, let him keep the pace at what he liked it at. Let him keep the distance at what he liked it at. And when I'm in there, it's not going to be that at all. I'm going to be in your face for the whole 25 minutes. I'm going to be in your face, hitting you hard. And if you're going in there thinking that, oh man, he doesn't have as good as wrestling as Usman, who's taking down Wonder Boy more than me, right? People went in there, they expected it. He went against college national champs, and they didn't take him down like I took him down. They didn't. Damian Maia had Usman's back for how long in that moment where the ref had to stop it. Like when you're looking at all these other grapplers and the same fights comparing to what I did, Damian Maia never had me on the ground at all. He never had me in any bad spots at all. So all these guys, the whole world, they're all underestimating what I'm capable of because I don't have those accolades of, oh, he's a college wrestler or he's this or he's that. I'm the best MMA fighter, complete MMA fighter there is in this division.
I love it. I love it. And to that point, Belal, this is such an interesting matchup because your last few fights, I remember talking to you before the Luque fight, and that was a rematch because obviously you had a win over you early in your career, and you knew what kind of a dog Luque was. And it wasn't a particularly close fight afterwards. Like you ended up pretty much dominating that fight. Gilbert Burns, we know how tough he is. We just saw what he had to fight with Jack Della Maddalena. He's winning, of course. Credit to Jack for catching him at the end. But that was not a close fight. It was pretty much a lopsided fight. Sean Brady, who I think is actually a really good fighter. I know Sean has actually paid you a lot of credit after the fact. He talked about you before he got injured with his last fight, but he had talked, made compliments about you. He had said in that fight, a lot of hype, hype around him, and you go out there and knock him out. Do you feel like the Leon fight could be a dog fight, or do you feel like this is going to be pretty one-sided? Like, I know you're going in there preparing for the absolute war of attrition. This is going to be the hardest fight of your life, but in the back of your head, are you thinking this could actually be similar to what you did to Gilbert, similar to what you did to Sean, and similar to what you did to Luque?
I honestly think it's going to be one of the easiest matches I've ever had. I think that I'm going to go in there and I'm going to walk through them and I'm going to make it look easy, and people are going to sit there and everybody always has an excuse and they're wondering why, or there has to be this reason why I won this fight or why I won that fight or this or that. But once I had the belt, none of that ever matters, right? I've said from the beginning that I'm the best welterweight in this division. And I said from the beginning that I'm going to make it look easy when I beat Leon and dominate Leon. I haven't had a close fight in the last 5 years. Every single one of my fights has been dominant. And I've taken some of the toughest matchups where I've been an underdog in these last 5 fights. I've been where you've had the best of the best telling you, the analyst telling you, oh, he's going to get knocked out by him. He's going to get tapped out by him. He's going to do this by him. He doesn't have good enough wrestling to do this, or he doesn't have good enough striking to do this. Watch what I do to Leon. Watch what I go out there and do in front of his people, in front of his hometown, in front of all of those fans out there that are going to be booing. I'm going to go to enemy territory and I'm going to freaking smash him. Then I'm going to look at his coach. I'm going to look at his brother. I'm going to smile. And I'm going to wait for them to say anything. I'm going to wait for their excuses. And it's going to be one of the best trips of my life.
And I know you've always embraced that underdog role, and I'm not sitting here patting myself on the back to say I was the guy who kept picking Belal Muhammad all along. I am, but I'm just saying, but they love to doubt you, and here you are stepping into enemy territory, and that's a tough spot for some people, but it feels like you're embracing it. You love this opportunity.
Yeah, honestly, I love it. Like when I look at stuff, and I always bring up the fact that what's God's plan, and you wanted 300, right? You wanted to be the headliner of the 300 epic thing. But when I saw this opportunity, when I saw I was going to Manchester, I'm like, bro, that's what it is. That's where this story is. Like, that's where this chapter ends. That's where this title reign, this title run, one of the hardest title runs, I think, in UFC history. When you look at the matches I had, the people I had to fight, it ends with me going to his hometown, beating him on his home soil and taking the belt from there and bringing it back here.
You've obviously, this has been your focus, and I certainly don't want to draw focus away from Leon Edwards because this is the fight we've talked about for like 4 years now. We've talked about him in some way, form, or fashion, almost every interview we do because that's been the goal for such a long time. But I know, one thing I wanted to ask you about, because if there's been one kind of complaint about Leon since he's become champion is he just hasn't been that active. When Kamaru was champion, one thing anyone can say is Kamaru was a very active champion. He was actually fighting more than some of the contenders were fighting when he was champion. Can I imagine a Belal Muhammad title reign is going to be a very active title reign?
Oh, 100%. Like, I love to fight. Like, you don't have no idea how like antsy I am where I'm like telling my coach, bro, you know what, F it, man, let's just do something. Let's get somebody else. Let's do this. Let's do that. And when recently, I think somebody put out there where Holloway was saying Islam wasn't active, and then they put out the stats, and it was like I had the same amount of fights as Islam, and Islam had more fights than all these other guys. So me and him both had like 7 fights in the recent 5 years or something like that. But yeah, my goal is to win this belt, and then go back to Abu Dhabi and have my first title defense there. That's my goal. I want to stay active. I'm always in the gym. I'm always training. I'm always working, and we get paid to fight. We don't get paid to sit on the sidelines. Leon, he's like I said, it's a fear thing. He knows that these next matchups are going to be tough. He knows that he's gonna lose. He knows that once this fight was signed, it was like, all right, well, this is my last couple chances of walking around with this belt. Last couple chances of being on a GQ magazine or going to a stupid soccer game or something dumb like that. Because after he loses, nobody's gonna give him any attention. He doesn't get no attention. Otherwise, right? If he didn't have this belt, nobody would know who he is. He doesn't talk for himself. He doesn't promote himself. He doesn't even know how to speak. Even when he goes on these podcasts, he's like whispering. He just looks so stupid. He looks fearful, and he just looks like he doesn't belong here. The belt doesn't belong on his shoulder. It belongs on my shoulder. And yeah, once I get the belt, I'm going to show the division. And my goal isn't just to be the champion. My goal is to be the best welterweight to ever do it. So for me to go out there and beat Leon, who beat Usman twice, who everybody thought was the best welterweight to do it, right? Then I'm up there and I'm ahead of him, and I'm right underneath GSP. Then when you're looking at both of our lineups, it's like, well, I beat Wonderboy, I beat this guy, I beat that guy. Then I get these next young killers who people are still going to say are going to beat me, right? You give me the Shavkats, you give me the JDMs, the Ian Garys, and then I walk through all of them. There's nothing else, right? I'm just going to be cemented as the best to ever do it.
I love it. Now, I can't remember, it was a few months ago, maybe it was a year ago. It's been a while now. That Dana White had announced that the UFC had changed their policy where they were allowing fighters to walk out with flags again. I always thought that was a weird thing that they took away the flags. I always thought it was really cool to walk out with the flags. Can I ask, because I remember we did a story years ago when you were going to fight in Abu Dhabi, the pride you had in being able to walk out with the Palestine flag when you were going to fight in Abu Dhabi, and how excited you were for that. We all know the turmoil and atrocities being carried out and everything that's happening in Palestine right now. Will there be a better, can you control your emotions of walking down to your title fight? Can I assume you're going to have that Palestinian flag wrapped right around you?
Yeah, 100%. It's honestly, it's like you with some of the messages that I got, like you want to cry because the people over there, like the stuff that they're going through, they still got so excited for me. I still got messages of like, oh my God, we're going to have a champion. We're going to have the flag's going to have a belt next to his name. The flag's going to have a world champion. And it's amazing for me because, like I said, these people are so strong. These people are every single day, they're starving, they're dying, they have no place to go. But they're still trying to support me, right? They're still showing that love and the support of me when, the best I could do is carry that flag. That's the least I could do, right? That's the least I could do for them is to win and to give it my all and to go through every session, every practice that I have and kill myself just to bring it closer to winning this belt. And there's nobody that's going to take that away from me. I'm fighting for something more than just his belt. I'm fighting for my people. I'm fighting for these people to have something to cheer for while they're over there, to have something to cheer for while they're sitting there in rubble, while they're sitting there starving. And if it just gets their mind off of what they're going through, to the atrocities for 10 seconds, 15 minutes, 25 minutes, where they can be able to watch this fight, it's going to be the best feeling for me because this fight is nothing. They're real fighters. They're the real warriors. They're the real people out there that are fighting a tougher fight than this. Like, I get motivated every day seeing how strong these people are, how strong-willed they are, how strong religiously they are to have a smile on their face and to say God's plan is the best plan. God's plan, God put us here for a reason. God has our story to be told this way so the world sees it like this and shows the world how strong Muslims are, how strong Palestinians are. And I'm going to go out there July 27th and I'm going to show you how strong a Palestinian is.
I love it. Can I ask, I'm curious because one guy that you had called out for so long when you were waiting, trying to get to the title shot, you had called out Colby Covington so many times. Did you laugh when you heard he finally called you out like 2 weeks ago? Did you at least get a chuckle out of that? Like, you called him out for like 2 years straight, never got a response. You're getting a title fight. Now he wants to fight you.
That was honestly the funniest thing. And I was like, I'm not even going to bring attention to it because then I'm going to have to go back and forth with him. But I was like, you know what? This guy's a joke now. And he understands he's a joke now. So he's trying to go out there and call out these bigger names now, right? Where he's calling on me. He's calling out Oliveira. Oh, Ian Gary's not worth it. Why? Because Ian Gary's a bad matchup for you? Like, he knows that if he loses one more fight, it's over. Like how terrible that matchup, that last fight was. He's desperate for something. He's desperate for a win. So I think he's going to sit there and he's going to wait. Maybe he's going to call out a 45 or somebody and hope one of those guys bite on the bullet.
and then you got Conor coming back. Conor's going to be a welterweight champion. Listen, let me be clear about this. People think I have something against Conor because I've said for a long time I thought maybe he wasn't even going to fight again. I don't have a problem with Conor. Conor's a lightweight. Conor is not a welterweight. He's not really fought welterweights. He fought Cowboy Cerrone, he fought Nate Diaz, and he's fighting Michael Chandler. They're all lightweights. I'm sorry, they are. But would there be an easier way for you to get a bigger paycheck than if the UFC actually tried to make that fight? I know you're not going to call him out. I know you well enough, Belal. You might make a joke at him because you have some of your funniest Twitter responses are usually about Conor. But I know you're looking at Shavkat. You're looking at Ian Gary. You're looking at, Jack, the guys you mentioned, the young killers in the division. But if they threw Conor at you, can I imagine that would be like the quickest contract you'd ever sign?
Honestly, that'd be like hilarious because it'll be funny because I know that would never happen. Even now, like, who knows if he's even gonna make the June 29th fight, right? We've seen him hugging trees. He's just a weird person. And even in that interview, he looked like he was strung out on stuff and he was just calling on everybody, talking about everybody. But yeah, I mean, I think he's gonna go out there and I think Chandler's going to beat him, honestly. So I think I'm going to give Chandler that win, but you never know, right? Leon will still probably call him out after that fight. So I'll let both of these guys lose and then call each other out and end up fighting each other for nothing.
Now, I know you've been out in training with Islam and that team. I think you said, I saw your show, Remember the Show You Do, which, by the way, every time I watch that show, I still get freaked out that Jason and John are twins. It still freaks me out no matter how many times I watch your show.
He just changed his head too.
But you come out, I know you said Khabib is out there. He had showed up last week and he's out there getting ready for the last part of Islam. How much has that team added to your game? I know you got a great group of guys around you and you've worked with a lot of the same guys in Chicago for years, but I know I talked to you before when you first worked with that camp. Can I imagine this has been a huge benefit for you as you get ready for Leon to work with guys like Islam, Umar, I assume. I don't know if Usman's out there right now. I know Khabib just got in town. I imagine that's a huge
Usman's
benefit,
out there
right?
as well. Yeah, Usman's out there. Yeah, bro. I'm getting to work with the Michael Jordan, who I think is the Michael Jordan of MMA. I get to work with Habib and Islam right now, like the Kobe Bryant, the LeBron James. Like they're both the best to ever do it. So just getting that knowledge, getting that feel. You can see I got two black eyes going with these guys. It's a different level going with these guys. And it's just to get their opinions of stuff, right? Habib is so smart and he's so good at breaking down guys and just getting the knowledge that he gives me. It's like working one day with Habib is like getting like 50 days with anybody else because he's so smart and he's so good at everything. And he like, the little things he'll show you will like make a huge difference. So yeah, it's priceless to get to work with them guys. And I'm like, every time I think about it, I'm like blessed because I was always like a fan of his. And it's like, now I get to train with these guys and work out with these guys and see what they do and see how they push. And they're both champions. They're both undefeated champions. And, just to get that feel, right. And get a piece of Islam's camp because it's a different aura when you're in a champ camp. It's a different feeling when you're in that type of environment when he's about to fight for the belt. You get a feel for it, you get ideas of it, and just getting their advice on little things too. Like, Islam fought early when he fought in Australia. So asking him what he did over there. How did it feel over there? What's the difference over there? And what does he think with fighting in over here at 3 a.m.? So those are the things, it's like priceless knowledge. And it's been amazing.
Are you going to try to pull Khabib out of retirement to be in the corner? I know you had told me a long time ago, you're like, I'm going to put Khabib in the corner. And like right after that, he decided to step back from being like a full-time coach. Are you going to try to pull him out? Because I feel like that would be really cool to see Khabib come out with you.
Bro, that would be priceless. That would be amazing. Hopefully we're gonna try to nudge the shoulder a little bit and do a little bit of begging. But yeah, hopefully, man, he's been in the gym, he's been working more, so I'm hoping he gets the itch to be in the corner more.
I know for the longest time Islam had talked about being a 2 division champ. And I think unfortunately kind of missed his break because he obviously I think the Leon fight would have been his path, but I assume you guys would never actually fight. So I think that's kind of like now you guys you have to you rule welterweight, he can stick around a lightweight, and then maybe down the road because obviously Islam's an incredible fight. I'm sure you're confident he's going to beat Dustin Poirier, but I know he's talked about being a 2 division champ, but now you guys are part of the same family.
Yeah, I would never fight him 100%, but honestly, he could go up to 185 and beat Duplessis right now. I think he's that good, really. I think he could go up there and be that 2 division champ, skip over 170 for a little bit. Let me beat a couple of these younger guys, and then I'll go up to 185, bro. He has plenty of time, man. He's dominating these fights. He's winning easily, and I think he's going to continue on that path of just being a dominant champion. So he's got plenty of years left. Like he tweeted out or said something about it recently in an interview, saying like, "Yeah, I'm still hungry. I'm still here." So I think he got a long time to go.
You keep training with those guys. You're going to have to add one more name on the end. It's you're American, Palestinian. You might be Dagestani too before too much longer, Belal.
Yeah, honestly, man. And then it's cool because I was able to bring Ignacio Bahamondes with me for this time, and for him to get to work with them. This was his first time going and training with those guys. So it's like now my core is leveling up. We're all leveling up now. So it's cool to experience, and it's cool to be able to take my boys with me.
Absolutely. Well, Belal, this has been such a long time coming. I'm so happy for you. I'm so excited. I know it's weird, like say congrats, because the congrats will come after you win the title. I know you've just been excited. It's just been like such a long time coming. Like, man, I'm just so glad it's finally here. It's finally official. The date's done. The contracts are signed. There's nothing else happening. You're going to fight Leon Edwards. You got to do it like 4 a.m, which is going to be a little odd, but that's that you kind of roll with the punches, right?
Yeah, 100%. Like I always look back at that Colby quote where he put "job not done, job not done." They're like, "You're not smiling yet." That's the thing now, where it's like everybody's congratulating you for getting it, but you're like, the job's not done. And yeah, whether it's 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 8 p.m., doesn't matter. I'm walking through Leon regardless.
And you know the deal. I've told you this many times, Blau. You win the title. Obviously, you're doing it in Manchester, so you get to fly home. Monday, Tuesday, whenever you get back, this interview's happening. I'm just telling you ahead of time. You're not skipping it. You're not avoiding it. You got to come back and see me because, like I said, if there's been one guy banging the drum for Belal Muhammad to get a title fight for quite a long time, I want to say I don't know if I've been leading that charge, but I've definitely been on the bandwagon for a while now.
No, 100%. You're gonna be my first one always. That's like you start realizing who's been loyal to you and who's not been loyal to you, right? And you start paying attention to these little things. And oh man, I took notes, man. I kept receipts. So yeah, there's a lot of guys out there that are gonna be asking me for interviews and be like, nah, sorry, I'm busy.
I appreciate it. Well, Belal, man, have a great training camp. I'm super excited for you. I know you are so amped up and ready to do this. I'm assuming you probably be like, let's fight tomorrow. Get Leon, let's throw him in a cage, let's fight tomorrow. But July 27th is going to be huge. Thank you as always for the time. Have a great training camp, man. Safe travels over to Manchester, of course, and expect a post-fight text like maybe 10 minutes after the fight.
Sure, my brother. Appreciate you.
All right, Belal, we'll talk soon.
See you, brother.